Limerence is one of those experiences that can feel intoxicating, exhilarating, and deeply consuming. Many people describe it as a kind of love addiction or obsession with a person. Yet, limerence is not the same as healthy love. It is a psychological and emotional state in which someone becomes intensely preoccupied with another person, usually in a romantic context, often accompanied by intrusive thoughts, emotional dependency, and a powerful craving for reciprocation. The concept of limerence was first introduced by psychologist Dorothy Tenov in the late 1970s. She coined the term after years of studying people who reported being madly in love in ways that went beyond simple attraction or affection. Tenov noticed a repeating pattern. Individuals in limerence described uncontrollable thoughts about their limerent object, the person they were infatuated with, extreme mood swings depending on whether they felt reciprocated or rejected, and a tendency to idealize that person to almost unrealistic levels. To the person experiencing it, limerence can feel all-consuming. They may think about the other person constantly, sometimes obsessively, to the point where it distracts from daily life. Their mind replays past interactions, analyzing every detail, every look, every word spoken, searching for clues about whether the feelings are mutual. It feels like a rush of adrenaline mixed with euphoria whenever the limerent object gives attention, validation, or affection. But equally, it can feel like crashing into despair when the person withdraws, is unavailable, or seems disinterested. In this way, limerence creates an emotional roller coaster, extreme highs and extreme lows, much like an addiction cycle. This is why some psychologists compare limerence to a behavioral addiction. Just as a gambler feels compelled to keep playing in search of the next win, someone in limerence feels compelled to keep seeking contact, attention, or hope from the person they are fixated on. Limerence doesn't come from nowhere. Its roots often lie in childhood experiences and attachment patterns. People who grow up with inconsistent caregiving, sometimes receiving love and attention, other times experiencing neglect, distance, or rejection, are more prone to developing limerence. For example, if a child learns that love is unpredictable, they may become hyper-attuned to signs of approval or disapproval. As adults, this can translate into heightened sensitivity to another person's attention, where even small signals feel enormously meaningful. This aligns with what we know about anxious attachment. People with an anxious attachment style often fear abandonment and crave reassurance. When they encounter someone who is emotionally distant or inconsistent, their nervous system may become hooked on the unpredictability, reinforcing the limerent state. In other words, limerence often grows strongest not in safe, secure, reciprocal relationships, but in relationships where uncertainty and emotional unavailability keep the nervous system on edge. Tenov and later researchers identified common features of limerence: intrusive thinking. The limerent person cannot stop thinking about their object of affection. Thoughts intrude constantly, even when trying to focus on other things. Idealization. The limerent object is seen as perfect, flawless, or the answer to one's happiness. Flaws are minimized, and positive traits are exaggerated. Emotional dependence. One's mood depends almost entirely on whether the other person seems to reciprocate or not. Even small signs, a smile, a message, a kind word, can bring intense joy, while perceived indifference can cause deep despair. Fear of rejection. There is often a pervasive anxiety about losing the person or being rejected, leading to overanalyzing interactions. Craving for reciprocation. More than just attraction, limerence involves a desperate need for the other person to feel the same way. It's not just about wanting them, it's about needing to know they want you back. Obsessive fantasizing. The limerent person may spend hours imagining scenarios with the object, replaying conversations, or creating fantasy futures together. Difficulty moving on. Even when the relationship is clearly unavailable, toxic, or over, the limerent person struggles to detach emotionally. One of the biggest misconceptions is that limerence is true love. In reality, limerence is more about obsession and fantasy than genuine intimacy. Healthy love grows slowly, is based on mutual respect, shared values, and real connection. It is steady, secure, and allows both people to be themselves. Love makes space for imperfection. It does not require the other person to be flawless or idealized. Limerence, in contrast, thrives on uncertainty and fantasy. It's fueled by projection. The limerent person projects qualities onto their object that may not even be real. The relationship often exists more in the mind than in reality. While love calms the nervous system, limerence dysregulates it, creating addictive highs and lows. At its core, limerence is not just about another person, it is about the self. The limerent person often seeks validation of their worth through reciprocation. If the other person desires them, it feels like proof that they are lovable, valuable, or safe. If not, it can trigger deep feelings of unworthiness or rejection. This is why limerence can feel so destabilizing. It is not just about losing someone, but about confronting old wounds of abandonment, neglect, or inadequacy. The limerent object becomes a mirror reflecting back these unresolved childhood needs. A key reason limerence can feel so addictive is intermittent reinforcement. This is a psychological phenomenon where inconsistent rewards create stronger attachment than consistent ones. For example, if someone is sometimes affectionate, sometimes distant, it keeps the other person guessing, which intensifies the craving for closeness. This is the same principle that makes slot machines addictive. The unpredictability of the win keeps people hooked. In limerence, the unpredictability of whether the person will reciprocate or not keeps the infatuation alive. This is also why limerence often fades in stable, secure relationships, but intensifies in ones with distance, hot and cold behavior, or emotional unavailability. Fantasy plays a huge role in limerence. The limerent person may imagine a future with their object, even when little real evidence supports it. They may take small gestures, a smile, a text, a kind word, and expand them into a narrative that this must mean something. In this sense, limerence often has little to do with the actual person, and more to do with what the limerent person projects onto them. The limerent object becomes a screen for the infatuated person to project their unmet needs, fantasies, and desires. Limerence can create difficult dynamics in relationships. On one hand, it may drive someone to pursue a partner intensely, overwhelming them with attention. On the other hand, if the partner does not reciprocate, the limerent person may fall into despair, jealousy, or even resentment. In ongoing relationships, limerence can cause imbalances. For example, one partner may feel pressure to constantly reassure the other, or the limerent partner may ignore red flags and tolerate mistreatment simply because they are so consumed by the infatuation. Healing from limerence is not about shaming oneself, but about understanding its roots and redirecting the energy towards self-growth. Awareness. The first step is recognizing that what you are experiencing is limerence, not necessarily love. Naming it can help create distance between you and the obsession, grounding in reality. Instead of indulging in fantasy, practice seeing the other person as they are, not as you wish them to be. This may involve writing down their flaws, limitations, or ways they are unavailable. Addressing core wounds. Limerence often points to deeper unmet needs for love, security, or validation. Working on healing these wounds through therapy, inner child work, or self-compassion can reduce the intensity of limerence, regulating the nervous system. Because limerence thrives on dysregulation, practices like mindfulness, meditation, breathwork, or somatic therapy can help bring balance. Cultivating secure attachment. Building self-worth, setting boundaries, and learning what healthy love looks like can gradually shift patterns away from obsession toward reciprocity. Redirecting energy. Limerence often consumes huge amounts of mental and emotional energy. Channeling this energy into creativity, career, friendships, or passions can help break the cycle of fixation. While limerence can feel painful, it can also serve as a powerful teacher. It highlights unmet needs and unresolved wounds. It shows us where we confuse fantasy with reality, or where we search for validation outside of ourselves. Seen in this light, limerence can be an invitation to turn inward, to develop greater self-awareness, and to build the capacity for healthy, secure love. It can teach us to discern between chemistry and compatibility, between intensity and intimacy. Limerence is not love, though it can feel like the most overwhelming form of it. It is an altered state of mind, born from longing, uncertainty, and unmet needs. It thrives on fantasy and projection, often keeping people stuck in cycles of obsession and pain. But with awareness, healing, and self-growth, limerence can be transformed. Instead of being trapped in the highs and lows of obsession, we can move toward love that is grounded, reciprocal, and nourishing. Love that does not consume us, but sustains us. Love that is not a roller coaster, but a safe harbor. And ultimately, limerence reminds us of a deeper truth. The love we seek from others must first be cultivated within ourselves.